Dear friends, I am Professor Muhammad Ahmed from the Lucknow University, Faculty of Law. Here I am going to share the knowledge about Section 8 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. Section 8, which deals with the acceptance by performing conditions or receiving consideration, which Section 8 lays down performance of the conditions of proposal of the acceptance of any consideration for a reciprocal promise which may be offered with the proposal is an acceptance of the proposal. This section, the scope and object of this section is that this section is complementary to the preceding section. If a proposal has not prescribed a mode, an acceptor has to adopt some usual and reasonable mode. This section prescribes one of such methods in the form of an implied acceptance. This section recognizes a distinction between acceptance of an offer which asks for promise and an offer which asks for an act on condition of the offer becoming a promise. Acceptance by performance. The terms of this section are very wide. In the absence of illustrations, their intended scope is not very clear. Performance of the conditions of proposal seems to be nothing else than doing the act requested by the promiser as the consideration for the promise offered by him, as when a tradesman sends goods on receiving an order from a customer. The only previous definition of the acceptance in the act is that proposal is said to be accepted when the person to whom it is made signifies his assent thereto. Acceptance means accepted when the person to whom it is made means signifies his assent thereto. Section 2, Clause B. It is signifies his assent thereto has been mentioned in Section 2, Clause B. This has to be read with the provisions as to communication in Section 4 and 7. The present section appears in its first branch to recognize the fact that in the case in which the offerer invites acceptance by the doing of an act, it is sometimes impossible for the offeree to express his acceptance otherwise than by performance of his part of the contract. Where a promiser stated that he had purchased a particular immovable property for the promisee of the promise after the death of the promisee, the promiser and the promisee accordingly went to reside with the promiser in the said property. It was held that the promisee had accepted the offer by going to and residing in the property with the promiser, that is, by compliance with the promiser's stipulation and terms. The most obvious example is where a reward is publicly offered to any person or to the first person who will recover a lost object, procure certain evidence or the like. Here the party claiming the reward has not proved anything more than that he performed the conditions on which the reward was offered, which condition may or may not include communication by him to the proposer in the simple case of a reward proposed for something in which the proposer has an obvious interest. There is not likely to be any other question than what the terms were and whether they there is some क्या हुआ
वो लाल वाला बड़ा हो गया था, फिर सही हो गया.
There is some authority for construing the term liberally in favor of a finder. In England, an open letter of credit authorizing the addressee to draw on the issuer to a special extent and requesting parties negotiating bills under it to endorse particular has been held to amount to general invitation or request to advance money on the faith of such bills being accepted and to constitute a contract with anyone so advancing money while the credit remained open. The nature of acceptance required in such cases was considered by the English Court of Appeal in Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Corporation. The defendant company being the proprietor of the Carbolic Smoke Ball, a device for treating the nostrils and air passages with a kind of carbolic and snuff, issued an advertisement offering £100 reward to any person who should contract influenza or similar ailments as mentioned. After having used the ball as directed, it was also stated that £1,000 was deposited with the named bank, showing our sincerity in the matter. The plaintiff bought one of the smoke balls by retail, did use it as directed and cut influenza while she was still using a smoke ball by retail, still using it. Hawkins J. held in a considered judgment that she was entitled to recover £1,000 as on a contract by the company. The Court of Appeal confirmed that judgment. It was objected in this case that the plaintiff had not communicated her acceptance of the offer to the defendant company, but Brown JJ said notification that the notification of acceptance is required for the benefit of the person who makes the offer and that he may dispense with notice to himself. When the proposal is made in consideration of some act to be done, dispensation of notice may be inferred from nature and circumstances of the proposal. In another case, the information given by the plaintiff passed through his fellow policeman as his agent to forward it to the proper officer. Penn, the information ultimately reached Penn at the time when the plaintiff knew of the offer of reward for the information, and hence the plaintiff was held to be entitled to be rewarded. Acceptance in ignorance of offer means that does an act done by a person in ignorance of the proposal amount to performance of the conditions of the proposal within the meaning of this section. According to the High Court of Allahabad, it does not. The plaintiff in that case was the defendant service as Munib. The defendant's nephew absconded and the plaintiff volunteered his service to search for his missing boy. In his absence, the defendant issued handbills offering a reward of rupees 500 to anyone who might find out the boy. The plaintiff traced him and claimed the reward. The plaintiff did not know of the handbills when he found out the boy. Held that the plaintiff was not entitled to the reward. Why? It was held in the case of Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt. In an Australian case, one clerk who knew of the offer of a reward gave the information to clear himself of the suspicion of the charge against himself, and without any thought of claiming the reward. The claim for reward made by clerk failed because he did not give the information in exchange of the offer. Accepted by receiving consideration. The second branch of the section is to
चलिए
acceptance by receiving consideration. The second branch of the section is to acceptance of any consideration, etc. is rather obscure. It is generally sound principle. Word reciprocal is curious, for it hardly fits the most obvious class of cases, as where goods are sent on approval and the receiver keeps them with the intention of buying them. Here the seller need not and commonly does not offer any promise, and there is therefore no question of a reciprocal promise as defined in the Act Section 2 Clause F. The section has been applied to the case of a bank's customer receiving notice, which he did not answer, of an increase in the rate of interest on overdrafts, and afterwards obtaining a further advance, held that he accepted a consideration by the bank within the terms of this section. So, section 9 of this act, which deals with the promise expressed and implied, is so far as
नहीं हम चले आएंगे आप जाओ
as the proposal or
हम नहीं आएंगे हम चले
acceptance
आएंगे अभी
of any promise is
हेलो
made.
हम चले आएंगे आप जाइए हेलो हेलो
रोक दीजिए, बंद कर दीजिए.
हम कह रहे हैं हम चले आए
So now we are going to discuss section 9 of the Indian Contract Act, which deals with the promises express and implied. Means that the promises, whether it is express or implied. So section 9 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 says that insofar as the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be expressed.
क्या कर रहे हैं
Insofar as such proposal
हेलो
or acceptance is made otherwise than in words, the promise is said to be
कह दीजिए चले
implied.
जाए चला जाए कह दो
Express and tacit promise.
नहीं
Promises.
हम 5 मिनट बाद जाएंगे
This section assumes that both
कहते चला जाए
proposals and acceptance may take place by words or without express words. The words may be spoken or written between the parties. An implied promise in the sense of the act is real promise, though not conveyed in words. An implied promise is therefore to be inferred from certain facts, such as a course of dealings between the parties. In other words, where there is an express contract in existence, there is no question of an implied contract. An implied promise must be distinguished from the promises frequently set in English books to be implied by law, which were fictions required by the old system of pleading to bring. Cases of relations resembling those created by contract or quasi contract, as mentioned in section 68 to 72, within the recognized forms of action, and sometimes to give the plaintiff the choice of a better form of action. Implied contracts and express ones are both equally binding upon the parties. The difference between them is confined to the manner of providing them. The tacit promise may be implied from a continuing course of conduct as well as from particular acts. Thus, an agreement between parties or partners to vary the terms of the partnership contract may either be expressed or be implied from a uniform course of dealing. Again, when a customer of bank has not objected to a charge of compound interest in accordance with the usual course of business, there is an implied promise where parties have acted on the terms of an informal document which has passed between them, but has never been executed as a written agreement or expressly assented to by both. It is a question of fact whether their conduct establishes an implied agreement to be bound by those norms. Questions may arise whether all the terms of another document are incorporated in a contract. When the contract refers to that document, the terms of a document can be incorporated by reference when they are not inconsistent with the express terms of the incorporating document and are not repugnant to the transaction which that document represents. Where a contract is partly oral and partly in writing, it is necessary to consider the whole of the negotiations for the purpose of determining whether the parties have truly agreed on all the material points. Place of contract. Having regard to the provisions of section 4 of this act, a question arises as to where a contract can be said to take place. Determination of this question in terms helps in deciding jurisdiction of courts. A contract is said to take place at the place where the communication of acceptance is received. Where a proposal emanated at one place was sent to promise at another place, the proposal is made where it is received. Where a proposal was made at Midnapur but was received and accepted at P, it was held that the contract took place at P. In this regard, the Madras High Court, in the case of Kamisetti Subbiah versus Katha Venkata Subbiah Swami, the Madras High Court has held that where a contract is entered into by correspondence, the contract is made at the time and at the place where the letter of acceptance is posted. Conflict of law. Incidents of a contract are governed by law of the state where the contract is made. This applies to conflict of laws of different provinces or states. Thank you.